we will be talking about Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching, depending on your time zone, and welcome to this talk about the VFX and animation sector in Spain, in which we will be talking about the novelties of the new Spanish tax incentives that were approved in May this year. Some good news for our sector, some good news for the international community that wants to work with us in Spain and with our companies. The name of the talk includes a small teaser of a campaign that we will be launching later this year in order to promote not only the animation and VFX sector, but also the tax incentives. It's called Spain Your Animate Mate, but it would also be called Spain Your VFX Mate. And I think that it is a good moment before we start. This talk is organized by the Institute of Cinematography and Audiovisual Arts of Spain in collaboration with Dibus, which is the Association of Animation and VFX Companies in our country. And Nico Maggi, the president of Dibus, could not be here, but he has sent us a video message, which is really funny. And pay attention to the dog, and we will just push play.
Hello, welcome to Pixelati. I'm Nico Maggi, chairman of Dibus, the Spanish Federation of Animation and Visual Effects Companies. We represent 90% of the industry in Spain. Since the 1960s, Spain has a long tradition in animation. We began with some chapters of the Flintstones, and lately we have been involved in the production of movies like Wonder Park or Klaus. Additionally, the visual effects of TV series like Game of Thrones or The Mandalorian have been made in Spain. Well, we offer highly talented companies, plus some of the best tax rebates in the world. We hope you will choose Spain to make your animated dreams come true. Thank you very much.
Back from this video message from Nico. Thank you, Nico. We get into work with the talk, and the talk will be divided in 3 blocks. The first block is to talk about the animation and VFX sector in our country, in Spain, the diversity, the strengths and opportunities that are related to these new tax incentives that we have since May. And our speakers will be Iván Ajenjo, which is the CEO of Peekaboo Animation, Natalie Martinez, CEO at Wise Blue Studios, and Felix Verges, CEO at El Ranchito, the VFX company. But before we give them the floor, I would like to show you a video reel that the Association Dibus has put together for us in order for you to see some of our most latest works. And now back from this amazing example of the work that is being done in Spain, we give the floor first of all to Iván Ajenjo, CEO of Peekaboo Animation, in order to talk about our sector, the incentives and the opportunities that we have in Spain in order to work with our companies with international projects. Iván.
Hi, thank you, Tito. And hi, everyone. So I'm Iván Ajenjo from Peekaboo Animation in Barcelona. I'm also a member of the board at DIVUS, the Spanish Federation of Animation and VFX Producers, which combines associations pro Animacion and AEPA, and altogether represents around 90% of the Spanish animation sector. So the first I want to say that the Spanish sector is indeed one of the biggest markets in Europe. So we have more than 250 production and distribution companies, a total turnover of 650 million euros in 2017. And our creative scope covers all kinds of animation formats and styles, from 2D animated TV series until full CGI feature films, indie shorts, virtual reality, VFX and hybrid movies with combined with live action. So all of that is already enough to have you work in Spain with us. But in addition to that, we have now a new improved tax rebate system since this year that Natalie will explain you later on. We have in Spain around 7,500 people working in this sector, and our tendency, our forecast is to grow both in employment and in turnover in the next years, despite the uncertainty situation that we are suffering now. Indeed, according to the European Observatory, Spain is the second European producer of animated films and the fifth worldwide. And in the television field, we have TV series that are arriving to worldwide audiences through foreign co-productions, which account to 70% of all projects in Spain. So our companies are really used to work on international markets and with international partners, especially in Europe, but also in North America, which is our biggest single market. So as mentioned, if this ecosystem is not good enough, then we have from this year on this new tax incentive system. And I will give the floor now to my colleague Natalie Martinez, who will better explain you this news.
Hi everybody, my name is Natalie Martinez. I'm a producer at West Blue Studios, a CGI animation company in Valencia, Spain, and I'm the Spanish producer, by the way, of the animated feature Animal Crackers, which was released worldwide on Netflix a couple of weeks ago. Also, as the previous panelist and fellow of mine, Ivan, I'm here representing DIVUS with the aim of introducing you to the new tax rebate system in Spain. This new framework basically consists of 30% tax rebate over the first million of expenses in Spain and 25% for the extra expenses exceeding this first million. This applies to all foreign production services developed or provided by a Spanish company to all foreign companies. So these are the numbers you need to keep in mind. 30% tax rebate over the first million expenses, 25% after that. And that's for every kind of production that you might think that we can develop for you in production services. Also add 20 points on top of these percentages in working with our colleagues on Canary Island, but they're gonna tell you more about that later. Also, these same percentages apply as tax credit for Spanish co-productions. So the type of productions that you would imagine we can undertake together in animation, taking advantage of this new scenario, is diverse. On the one hand, we can work with you as a partner in a co-production, and we can co-produce with you all kinds of projects, TV shows, series, TV specials, theatrical movies. In the scenario of a co-production, for example, we would involve Spanish investors that would benefit from this tax credit by investing in the product, but also we can bring on board linear TV broadcasters, as for example, Clan Channel personnel from TVE, the regional broadcasters that we have several in Spain, as well as private media groups, and so on. So that's one scenario. But on the other hand, we can work with you in a straight work-for-hire job, providing production services. And when providing production services, you can outsource to us a full movie or a full series, or just partial jobs like a full department, part of the animation, post-production work, whatever you might think about. And all of them will be able to benefit from the tax rebate at 30% for the first million, 50% in the case of our colleagues from Canary Island. And how is that? Well, because as Ivan was introducing, because this new regulation of the tax rebates that have brought to our industry a game changer. Think about that. Both animation and VFX before to apply to these tax rebates, you should spend 1 million in Spain. Now, from now on, and this has been approved recently this year, the minimum expense required to access tax rebates is 200,000 euros. So I'm going to repeat this. The minimum eligible expense in Spain is just 200k euros. And as you can imagine, that's a game changer, because that minimum threshold that we had before was 1 million, wasn't allowing a lot of different productions to come to Spain, and now you can bring them to us. So think about all the things that we can do for you. Practically every kind of production can apply to these tax rebates, regardless the size of the budget. Animation services, teasers, storyboarding, previews work for live action, pilots, TV shows, or direct-to-video movies from a small to medium-sized budget. Everything you might want to outsource now might be able to apply, either it's full productions or just partial services. But that's just one of the key pieces, which is the minimum floor, the new minimum floor of 200k specifically for animation and VFX. We have also raised the cap to 10 million, which opens a complete new scenario when outsourcing full movie productions to Spain, as you would imagine. Raising the cap to 10 million, as an example, so you understand better, allow us to undertake the full production of a movie in Spain, up to 30, 35, or even sometimes 40 million in Spain mainland. That's going to be higher in the Canary Island, depending on the eligible expenses. So think of how many paperwork and communication issues you might save yourself by outsourcing all the production to an only country or company. As a producer myself, I totally understand this. So now we can save you time, paperwork, and coordination issues by producing your movie in a single country or company, instead of, as we were used to do, trying to spread the production between different territories in order to maximize tax rebates. So as you've seen in the video reel earlier, we have creativity, we have the versatility as well, and also now these great tax incentives with all these changes that are even more beneficial. What else would I bring to the game? Well, I would say that we could talk about technology and also artistic background. So I'm gonna send it to Ivan, back to you, Ivan, so you can tell us a little bit more about the artistic background in Spain.
Thank you, Natalie. So our Spanish background, well, it is widely recognized, and Spanish artists have been present in the market since a while now. And this is partly the explanation of the great recognition that have accomplished recent movies in the market, such as, let me just point out some examples, such as Klaus, which was Oscar nominee to Best Animated Movie earlier this year, and also winner of 7 Annie Awards, 1 BAFTA, and 2 Goyas. Another example, Buñuel in The Labyrinth of the Turtles, which was Annie Awards nominee, winner of Annecy for Best Score, and also Goya winner to Best Animated Movie. Another example, Another Day of Life, which was 2 years ago Goya Award winner and also winner as Best European Animated Movie. And more recently, we can point out Joseph, which has been nominated as Best Animation Movie at the Cannes Film Festival just 3 months ago. This is in cinema, but in the television field, well, I guess you all know the multi-awarded IP Pocoyo, But beyond that, there are a pool of several new animated series from very different origins and ranges that have been successful. I will point out again some of them. For instance, we have Crying Babies or More Monsters, both of them animated series linked to toy master companies. We have commercial series released worldwide, such as I'll Be Frivoldi in Cartoon Network in more than 130 countries, or Hero Dad, which is released worldwide by Wild Brain. And we have even a teenage anime series called Virtual Hero, created by one of the most famous Spanish YouTubers. So as you see, creativity in Spain can come from any part of the business and even related business to animation. Let me also point out our growing presence in VOD platforms, starting by the Spanish talent working at the Netflix original Love, Death and Robots, which is one of the best examples of how far the Spanish talent can go. In fact, this is the perfect example proving that the Spanish talent is demanded and recruited worldwide, not only in Spanish companies, but also in foreign companies, especially in Canada and US studios, also in UK. And we are growing, improving, enlarging this talent pool to the new students coming out from animation schools in Spain. Last but not least, Spain is part of the European Union, and that means that we can also access to the rest of the talent in the rest of European countries without the need of any special working visa. So that means that working with Spain makes you access to the whole talent pool of Europe, of the whole continent. And as for technology, I will give the floor back to Natalie.
You led me the tricky part. Well, thank you, Van. All this is regarding cultural and artistic background, as you've seen, but also in the field of technology. I cannot stress enough how ready our work environment is to work overseas. From home or from our studio facilities, anywhere, anytime. This connectivity has been in our DNA, working for international companies for years now, but now in these, unfortunately, wild times of the COVID-19 era, this has become even a more key element. Well, we are ready. We've always been and will keep being. Video calls, online production tracking tools, working in the cloud, all these tools were already part of our daily work environment way before coronavirus. And still we keep working to improve each of these systems to make them even more efficient and consistent. So put it this way, it would be for you like if you were working here with us, really here, even if you are 10,000 miles away. With both, and this is important, technological and legal secure environments. My colleague Felix, you're gonna know him in a minute, is going to tell you more about technology, security, and VFX, his domain. And our attorney in the room, Noemi Coloma, will tell you later more about legal. But let me anticipate this because as a producer myself, is something that has concerned me when working with other countries. Spain, belonging to the European Union, guarantees a common and extremely secure legal frame in all related to contracts on the one side and IP's protection for producers and creators. So bear that in mind because it's an important point. And what else? All this at a competitive price point. What else would you need to know? Oh yes, we have one of the most friendly lifestyles and beautiful country in the world. And don't forget, we invented the true paella, so you're going to love working with us. Before saying goodbye, let me encourage you to get in touch with us at www.dibus.com. Dibus is spelled with a double O, and we'll help you through the process of connecting Spain and matching you with the best companies for you and your projects. Also, you can find us everywhere. We usually attend all the main international markets and forums such as Annecy, Kidscreen, Cartoon Movie, Cartoon Forum, MIPCOM, Ventana Sur, and this one, Pixelatl. Thank you for having us, Pixelatl. And we also welcome you, how not, to in our domestic events. We're in Segovia, formerly known as 3D Wire, and the Quirino Awards held in Tenerife. And now is the moment, yes, I'll introduce another Divus member from the amazing company El Ranchito, who will further talk about the booming VFX industry in our country. So Felix, go ahead, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Natalie. Thank you very much, Tito. And thank you all for attending this session. I want to speak a little bit about visual effects, my business and also my life. I want to first explain a little bit our experience with tax incentives. We have been using tax incentives since the very beginning in productions like Game of Thrones or Netflix Lost in Space or Steel Stars Cross, a production from ABC. We have used tax incentives in order to be competitive. 5 years ago, we began to use incentives with a small figure like 15% and a high minimum like 1 million euros. And with these figures that are not very, very good, our clients thought that we are competitive. Our Spanish prices with this small incentive are enough to work with us with El Ranchito. We have made with these conditions a lot of productions. We have earned a lot of awards, like one Emmy for the 7th season of Game of Thrones, or 5 BS awards for Game of Thrones, or Steel Star Cross, and different productions. Now, with the new conditions of 30% of the first million and 25% of the rest, I think that we are in a very, very strong position. Now we are working in El Ranchito in 4 different productions using these incentives. And like Natalie said, the new minimum of 200 keys is really very important for us. In the visual effects business, it's very normal to divide one piece of work into several vendors. And the later 1 million limit was really, really very big. But 200 keys is something very normal for the industry. As a summary, we can say that tax incentives is a reality now in Spain. This is not something that has to come. We have been using for 5 years, and it's something absolutely competitive and real. But incentives are nothing without a strong industry. In visual effects, we have a lot of companies here in Spain that are very, very powerful in visual effects. We have a growing experience. I remember, 10 years ago, one artist that wants to work in a big project like, Star Wars or Jurassic or something like that, has to go to Canada or to UK in order to work in such projects. Now we are working here in these projects. A lot of talented people that have gone to Canada or to UK or to New Zealand are coming to Spain, and a lot of foreign people are choosing Spain to work with us because the balance between the work and the living in this country, as Natalie said, is really, really, really nice. You know that we spend a lot of hours in our business in order to do really nice images, and I think everybody wants to be a little bit happy also, not only to work. We have also a very powerful technology. We have a very robust internet connectivity. We employ a lot of people doing research and development in order to be with the latest technology. And I think one strong point of Spain is also that we are really very flexible. In only 3 days, a company like El Ranchito or Illusion Studios, with more than 400 people, in 3 days we were working in the COVID situation all the people in their houses, and everything is completely normal. I don't know. I think Spain today is a real nice place to do visual effects. I began 37 years ago, and we have fought a lot to be in this position. I think today we have a fantastic moment to work in visual effects and in animation. Thank you.
Thank you, Felix. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Ivan. As I said in the beginning of the introduction, this was a talk in 3 blocks. The second block that we will be talking about is the ecosystem of the sector in the Canary Islands. And for that block, we have invited the coordinator of Canary Island Films, Natasha Mora, and also CEO at 3 Doubles Productions, Dario Sanchez. Before that, I forgot to do something in the beginning, but I think that now it's a good moment just to recap what we've been talking about, to show you a little bit summary of what has been spoken. And just in order to do that, I will share just a couple of slides just to go through the information that we've been talking about. So the tax incentives are a tax rebate. Mainly what we have is applicable in cases of local production companies in charge of executing foreign productions for future films and series. The percentage 30% in the first million. This is something that Felix has really pointed out in comparison to what was not so long term ago, only 50%, now it's 30%. The second from the first million is 25%. And this changes, and this will be explained now by Natasha and Dario, to 50 and 45% in the same conditions. The minimum expenditure is 200K, as Felix pointed out, and deductible costs, expenses of creative personnel if tax residence in Spain is a member of the state of the European Economic Area, with a limit of 100K per person, and also expenses derived from the use of technical industries and other suppliers. And we have a limit in the mainland of 1 million rich production. Regarding our industry, some facts and figures that Ivan and Natalie pointed out, we have a wide sector with more than 250 animation and VFX production and distribution companies, many of which were created in the last 10 years. The big adaptability that we have, quality of adapting to changing our visual ecosystem, I think that the work of the companies that form part of our audiovisual VFX animation ecosystem are proof of that in the work they do. The turnover, which is expected to be 1,000 million in 2021, 2020 doesn't count. And this in 2017, which is one of the last figures we have, is 655 million, and that was already 0.04% of the GDP in Spain. The working community, as Ivan pointed out, is made of almost or around 7,500 workers, of highly skilled young people, many of them. 30% of them are women. Multi-tasking, 90% of the companies produce all kinds of content, and 72% of those companies are generating their own IP. And as far as international goes, 80% or more than 80% of the Spanish animation and VFX companies offer services abroad. This being said, and I will stop sharing my screen now. We go back to the second block. Before we talk with Natasha and Dario, so they talk about more the specifications of the tax incentives in the islands, and also about the ecosystem in the islands. We will watch this very short reel of We Are Animation in Canary Islands. this second block, and we welcome Natasha Mora, coordinator of Canary Islands Film. Hello, Natasha. How are you?
Hi, thank you, Tito, and hi, everyone. Thank you all for attending this presentation about the opportunities that Spain provides to the animation and visual effects industry. I will talk about the specific case of the Canary Islands, and I will try to explain very briefly why in the last years international and national animation studios and visual effects studios have been established here in the Canary Islands. So, the Canary Islands enjoy an own economic and tax regime. Okay, so and why? Because our geographical situation. We are a fragmented territory with 8 islands situated in the south of Europe, near to Africa. And in order to diversify our economy, the European Union declared the Canary Islands an outermost region. And that's why we enjoy our own economic and tax regime. And thanks to this regime, all the deductions that you apply here in the Canary Island, the deduction in this case for animation and visual effects, for audiovisual in general, this deduction are 20 points higher than in the rest of Spain, always. Okay, so that means that in case of international production, you can apply a 50% tax rebate for the first million and 45 tax rebate from then on. To apply this tax rebate, you have to meet some 3 requirements. Natalie explained already. So you have to hire a service company with tax domicile in the Canary Islands. You have to spend here in the Canary Islands this 200,000 euros on eligible cost. And the third one is that the budget of your project must be at minimum 2 million euros. This is in case of the international production. In case of national Spanish production or co-production, you can apply a 50% tax credit for the first million and a 45% from then on. And to apply this tax credit in the Canary Islands, you need the Canarian Certificate of Audiovisual Production. And to obtain this certificate, you also have to follow some requirements. In this case, the requirements depend on the project budget. So this is the tax incentive in case of international and national production. But in the Canary Islands, we have also 2 incentives that I think they are very attractive also for the animation and the visual effects, and that you can apply only here in the Canary Islands, not in mainland. The first one is the Canary Islands Special Zone called SEC Zone. This is an incentive that permits to set up your company here in the Canary Islands and benefit from a reduced rate from a 4% in the corporate income tax. It's important to say that you can combine this incentive of the SEC Zone, this 4% in the corporate income tax, you can combine with the other incentive, with the 50 and 45% tax rebate. And the other incentive here in the Canary Islands is our VAT. The regional VAT in the Canary Islands normally is a 7%, but in case of the audiovisual sector in general, you can apply a 0% VAT. So these 4 tax incentives, the tax rebate for international projects, the tax credit for national production or co-production, the Canary Islands Special Zone with this 4% in the corporate income tax, and also our VAT, 0% VAT. These 4 tax rebates, tax incentive, explain why in the last year so many animation studios, visual effects studios show interest in working here in the Canary Islands. But it's important also to say that not only the tax incentive are the reason to come and to produce animation visual effects here from the Canary Islands. There are other reasons, like, for example, the technological parks places at the disposal of the animation and visual effects companies, or, for example, the ad hoc animation training that we support also from the Canary Islands government. We support the ad hoc animation training for new projects, our connectivity. Of course, we have very good technological connectivity, but also connectivity in the way of connection by air and by sea. The island are just a few hours flying time from the main European capitals. And more recent, of course, our quality of life, the weather, the legal security is important, because don't forget that we are also European, we form part from the European Union, and the cost of living here in the Canaries are lower than in the rest of in mainland and in Europe in general. And I would like also talk about the animation event that we have here in the Canary Islands. Currently, we have 4 animation events that take place here in the Canaries. The Quirino Awards is an event that recognizes the talent of the Ibero-American animation industry. It's a co-production market and also an international congress that takes place parallel to these awards, to the Quirino Awards. Another event is the Bridging the Gap. It's an intensive animation lab for new talents to learn from the professionals and decision makers of the international animation industry. Another event, Cartoon Business, the event that takes place every year in different places, will take place here for the second time in Gran Canaria in December this year. And our festival, Animation Summit. Animation Summit is an international film festival of animation, visual effects, and also video games, and is the first Spanish animation festival that qualify for the Oscar Awards. So I think this is more or less the information. You can make an idea what's happened here in the Canary Islands with animation, visual effects, with the audiovisual sector in general. And well, I don't want to expand more. I would like to give the word now to my colleague Dario from Retiradas Studios, and he will explain a little more about all the companies that are working here in the Canary Islands with animation and visual effects. Thank you again, and thanks for attending this presentation.
Okay, thank you, Natasha. Well, I'm Dario Sanchez from Retiradas Producciones. We are based in the Canary Island, well, mainly in Tenerife in this case. And apart from belong to Videojuegos as Natalia, Ivan, and Felix, I belong, and I'm the president of SAFE, is the association of in the Canary Island of the animation, video games, and visual effects. So we represent almost all the companies that are based in the audiovisual industry. And just as a summary, as of now, there are more or less 50% of the companies in the Canary Island works on 2D animation, 56% on 3D animation, and 31% on VFX. Apart from that, 81% are related to services, just production services, and the other 50% as well is working on our own productions, mainly co-productions, even with other countries, Canada, Belgium, UK, etc. And from those companies, 20% of the companies are foreigners. I mean, they came from Europe or from United States, etc. And the other companies belongs to, are from Spain. Based in Spain, they were in the mainland, and then they came to the Canary Island to set up a new company in order to get the tax incentives. And from those companies, almost the 56% are biggest companies, are not just a smaller studio. They have more than 50 employees. Each of them, and if we look into those ones, yes, only the big companies, 88% are dedicated to 2D animation, 89% to 3D animation, and none of them on VFX right now. In the island, we are around 300 professionals, artists right now, and the idea is in 2021 just to become more than 500, taking into account the projects that we are working in this time. we are talking with the University of La Laguna because they are creating some masters in order to improve the training on animation for talented people. And as Natasha said, the institutions in the Canary Island are helping us in order to train the people in order to get more talent on the island. Because in fact, we started to grow in the Canary Island 4 years ago, more or less. It's when the companies start to come into the Canary Island. And at the beginning, there were no talent in the Canary Islands. So most of the talent came from the mainland, even from Europe, Germany, UK, mainly, and Italy as well. There are a lot of professionals from Italy in the Canary Island right now. And well, the idea is to have people from the Canary Island just working on this industry. Right now, in most of the studios, there are at least 30% of the people are from the Canary Island. So we are growing in this case and increasing the talent that are right now in the Canary Island. And there are some important things as well on the tax incentives that everyone has been talking about. As I said, there are only 20% of the companies that are foreigners. In the Canary Island, we have at least one meeting every month with the field commissions, which is important in order to know how we can improve everything and get more talents and more projects. But as well, we have at least in Tenerife, we have an official meeting with all the producers that join once a month, just to take a dinner and take some beers and just talking about how we can help each other, which is amazing because it's like we are friends. It's not. It's for sure we have competitive, but it's a friendly dinner. And if someone has some issues, we try to help to the other one. So it's nice in this case, and I think it's quite important for us if we want to grow. And the idea is to try to bring more companies, because as more companies are here, more talent are coming, and we are bigger and better in this case. But as well, taking into account, because we had these issues previously when we came here. You need to deal with a new law, which is different from the other countries, and it's normal. So sometimes if you come from, we have a special case with a company in Canada that was working with us, and we say, okay, they wanted to come to the Canary Island because of the incentives, and we say, okay, first test and then invest, which means test with us, with some of us in a production. You can see how the tax incentives works, how you can get more optimization about the tax incentives, and then if you think that that is a good idea, just come with us, because it's what we really want. But first of all, before coming, it's much better to test if you don't know the law in Spanish, because you think that is in the same way as in your own country. And then the feeling is totally different, because as you know, it's not the same in all the countries. So it's much better to do it in that way. And I think nothing else. The only thing that I can say is that we are happy if more people come here, more talent in the island, because we want to create a hub on animation and VFX that could be one of the best in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Dario, and thank you, Natasha. We are coming towards the last block of our talk today. I think that a lot has been said, and it's pretty interesting and pretty dense, but there will come some clarification from our lawyer in the room, Noemi Coloma, the CEO of firm Willow, who is pretty used to work with animation and VFX companies and with tax incentives in Spain. And what we have asked Noemi to do is to prepare a little bit information to talk about the legal security, but also about those legal frequently asked questions in regard to what we're talking about, like doubts that pop up normally, and that could find a good answer on the legal side from a firm like Willow. So Noemi, welcome to the panel. You have to activate your mic, and thank you for coming, and please just enlighten us with the information.
Vale. Thank you, Tito. Thank you, Deika, Divus, and Pixelate for having invited me to this panel. As Tito mentioned, I'm Nicoloma. I'm a lawyer at Willow, a legal firm specialized in the audiovisual industry. First of all, I think it's very important to establish the difference between the national incentive and the international incentive, both established within the Corporate Tax Act. But what do we exactly mean by national incentive and international incentive? Well, in the first case, for national incentive, we refer to the incentives for films that qualify as national film, which of course can be produced by means of an international co-production structure. The main feature is that the Spanish producer has ownership, copyright over the project. In this regard, the film must comply with the specific requirements imposed by national and international conventions in order to gain access to the film nationality. Therefore, for international co-productions, the national co-producer could benefit from this incentive for national shootings. Secondly, the incentive for international shootings, in which we are going to focus today, applies to national producers who are in charge of execution of a foreign production in Spain. The foreign production must hire a Spanish production company so as to carry out the service in Spain. To qualify for this incentive, we must attend to the budget of the project which we are going to spend in Spain. At this point, we may be wondering if all the expenses that are itemized within the budget are to be computed for the purpose of calculating the tax rebate. The short answer is no. The eligible expenses and its limit are established by the Corporate Tax Act. Thus, and to completely answer your question, we must not forget that the eligible expenses for tax rebate are the creative expenses with a limit set for 100,000 euros and the expenses incurred from use of technical industries and other suppliers. Well, the scope of the eligible expenses that can be included within the scope with the meaning of technical industries and other suppliers is outlined within the content of the binding consultation that producers request the Spanish Treasury as to clarify the interpretation of the rule. These binding consultations are especially relevant because they will guide us in order to know which expenses are eligible and which are not. It is highly relevant, and at least this is our experience, to analyze the budget established for the service in Spain so as to check that the expenses within it are eligible for the tax rebate. Therefore, it is essential to carry out a prior legal and accounting analysis in order to avoid false expectations about the return of the rebate. This aforementioned aspect has a special incidence in the production of service that goes to the minimum cost limit. The advantage for the sector of animation and VFX is that the expenses are very localized, unlike what happened in live action production. So there should be no great surprises when we apply for the rebate. Based on experience, and since we have successfully managed the rebate on many occasions, our recommendation is that the analysis on the budget and the eligible expenses should be carried out prior to sign the PSA. The second important milestone in the rebate setup is how to structure the payment of the service and the request of the rebate. This could be two possible or potential scenarios. If the international production company assumes the full cost of the service, or if the international production company assumes the cost of the service discounting the amount of the estimated tax rebate. In the first case, when the international production company assumes the full cost of the service, it could be later refunded by the Spanish production company. In the second case, if the international producer assumes the cost of the service less or discounting the estimated amount of the tax rebate, this could be financed by the bank. At this point, the foreign producer might say, okay, I advance the total amount of the service, but how can this risk be covered? Well, for this sort of question, we may respond that there are insurance companies that cover the risk of applying for the tax rebate. It could also be raised the case of, I think I want to hire in Spain, but I can pay the total amount of the service. then we may respond that such concern is not a problem, since the rebate can be discounted in a bank entity for both the international producer and the national producer, and it is done by national and international banks. So once the service is concluded, we reach the third milestone in the legal configuration of the rebate. At this point, you may be wondering, when will I get the rebate money back? Well, the national company that has carried out the service must request the tax rebate in its declaration corresponding to the fiscal year in which the service ends, having two options, the natural fiscal year or the non-natural fiscal year. If we choose, for example, the first case, the natural fiscal year, the fiscal year ends the 31st of December 2020, for example. So the application for the rebate would be the 25th of July of 2021. When the tax income declaration is presented. But if we choose the non-natural fiscal year, we can make the end of the service coincide with the end of the fiscal year. For example, if the service ends in April and our fiscal year ends at the end of April, we can apply for the tax rebate on November. For example, if we finish the service on April 2021, we can apply for the rebate on November 2021, so in the same year. The fact of applying on the non-natural fiscal year is interesting also to avoid having to wait until July the following year to request the refund and be able to return it. Okay, now we know more or less all the steps, but what about the refund? Once we have applied, the refunding period can range between 6 and 18 months. At least this is our experience, depending on the checks of the Spanish Treasury. Of course, this term may be even shorter. The refund period for the Spanish Treasury is especially relevant in case that we have discounting the tax rebate in a bank entity. Suppose we don't arrange it with sufficient term. The bank then can demand and will the return of the principal of the loan, and we don't have that money. So these terms are very important in order to apply and calculate the conditions with the bank. To sum up, from my opinion or from my view, these are the legal guidelines to be followed when an international service is carried out in Spain. Keep in mind 3 important milestones from a legal point of view: the eligible expenses, the structure of the payment of the services, and the application of the rebate. These are basically the main ideas that I wanted to share with you. Thank you very much.
Well, was everything that you needed to know from a legal perspective. We will try to make this information available, and of course, you can find it also in our virtual stand in Pixelato, which we are very happy to return after being the guest country last year in 2019, which was an amazing experience. I want to wrap up this session just by asking everybody, I will call out the names, to summarize in one sentence why you should work with Spain and why you should work with our amazing people and enjoy our very tasty paella and a very tasty and hot summer too. And as you have been seeing throughout the talk, it is very warm, but it is very nice outside. So I will just set up an order and just in one sentence, just to have these mini pearls of why to work with us in animation and VFX, and we will start in order of appearance. Ivan, your first one, so just in one sentence.
So I'll say that we are flexible. So that means that when it's time to party, we know how to party, and when it's time to work, we know how to work seriously also.
That is a very, very good point. And we know how to party, we know how to work. And Natalie, you would be the second one, just in one sentence.
Yeah, one sentence. You know me. You cannot ask me just one sentence. That's not going to happen. But I'm going to try. As a producer, what I would like to hear then is what I'm going to tell you guys. We'll make it good. We'll make it easy.
That's less than one sentence. Thank you, Natalie. Felix, what would be your final wrap-up sentence?
I don't know. I think that it's really nice to work in Spain in visual effects and animation because we are flexible, because we are very enthusiastic, and because we are probably a little bit young of June in these areas, and we are really enthusiastic.
And now Natasha, of course, from Canary Island.
Well, Spain, in this case, specifically Canary Islands, I think it's a good place to live. It's a good place to work because you can work in paradise.
That is very beautiful. Dario, you work in paradise, so you cannot copy the sentence, but maybe I want to.
This is amazing. So I can only say that the Canary Islands will have very good talent and we can provide a very good quality. And the life is amazing. That's all.
Thank you, Dario. And now to wrap it up, Noemi, you can in one sentence maybe say why we can offer something for the rest of the world to come and join us work here.
I cannot because we have the talent, the infrastructure, the human capital, and the legal security. So why not to share it with you?
And of course, the best legal advice. Thank you all for having joined, and muchas gracias a todos los que nos han seguido en inglés por hacer el esfuerzo. And I hope we see each other next year physically pixelated. That would be really good news. Any event that happens physically, some of them are happening already in Spain. Let's hope for the best. And in the meantime, let's celebrate digitally. Why not online? Thank you all for having joined. Thank you all the speakers in the talk, and thank you Pixelator for allowing us to program this talk. Just check it out. Come work with us, as Dario said. If you are not sure, take a little taste, and then you will eat the whole cake or the whole paella. Happy summer to everybody, and thank you very much.
Thank you.